Hi, I'm Dave Gardy for CyberSecurity TV from our studios here near Washington, D.C. for this special presentation in the Compliance Automation Series with SteelCloud. Joining us now here in the studio is Terry Roberts, who's the CEO of Whitehawk, and Brian Hajost, who's the COO of SteelCloud. Thanks for joining us. So let's talk a little bit about this as it relates to risk mitigation and optimization. Terry, do you find that leaders and managers you work with understand how their compliance programs work and how to scale effectiveness?
So I think the issue with a lot of managers and leaders regarding their teams is that they really trust their teams to do compliance, and they don't scratch the surface of it very often. And so when we come in, we often find that they're using spreadsheets and SharePoint, which of course doesn't scale. And so then what you try to do is have that conversation about today's dynamic and the need for scalability.
Your thoughts, Brian?
Well, I think it's hard for managers to really get a handle on processes that are so manual in many cases. Lots of things that are manual are invisible to the leadership.
Yes.
And so SteelCloud, we believe that if we can automate as much as we possibly can, that the leadership will get a much better handle on what's actually going on with compliance and risk.
Okay. How can we move beyond compliance-focused maturity to meaningful resilience?
You know, 20 years ago, compliance to a great degree was all we had. Okay. Today, there's so much more that you can think about on the risk and resilience side, that the analogy I give is you want to keep your inbox empty, right? Which is compliance. You want to, get that taken care of so that you can focus on everything else.
Brian?
I think a lot of organizations haven't really got a handle on the compliance side. I think they'd like to move to the higher levels of risk and cyber management, but there is so much labor, so much effort, so much money spent on the manual processes they have in compliance that they're challenged to get to the next level.
Got it. Now, do the clients you work with have a compliance program that's integrated process among all stakeholders, or is it each acting as a separate organization or team?
So it seems like we're frozen in the 20 years ago. So, we're using the same categories like information assurance here and STIG here and, whatever else, now CMMC here. And so what happens is it's compartmentalized as opposed to one platform where all the stakeholders are integrated.
Okay.
Yeah, I think, adding to that, going back to the manual processes, if you build an organization based on manual processes, by definition, you have clearly delineated duties and, it's not integrated. When you automate more things and you provide, better dashboards, more information, more automation, you can bring the teams together. And so organizations should really be challenged to put automation in place and reorganize around their new capabilities.
Absolutely. I want to second that motion.
Brian, what key compliance functions can you actually automate?
Well, a lot of times we talk about vulnerabilities, we throw everything in the same bucket. And I think that organizations need to look at those things that can be automated. And really by automate, I mean mechanized. Much as the way we've mechanized antivirus. I mean, no one even thinks about that anymore. So if you look at the two major categories, things like patching, things that hit you every day, 0 days, things that you have to address on a moment's notice, versus the things that are planned for, things like secure configurations, the things that organizations accept for themselves. So if you look at automating all of the pieces that you determine you're going to follow, then you'll have the time, money, effort, and manpower to address, those issues that hit you from day to day. And you can look at, again, things like risk, overall risk, and go to those higher level, cyber activities once you've got your automation in place.
Terry, your thoughts on that?
Yes, so the beauty of our conversation is SteelCloud is an inside, right, compliance, instrumentation, automation capability. Today, we also have outside in views that we can provide on your compliance, your maturity, and your risks, so that even if you're not highly sophisticated, cyber sophisticated operation, we can help you to know where you are today based on an outside view.
Okay. Brian, I'll start with you on this one. How do your respective platforms enable cyber teams to meet their requirements efficiently and effectively?
Well, that's an important point. When you look at what might be available to managers today in the cyber realm, they may have some dashboards which are results. But if you look at what a manager really needs to do is manage activities. And if you automate activities, it's easier to monitor those activities. But going back to my earlier statement, if you have a lot of activities that produce results that are manual, it really is very difficult for a manager who's not really technical to manage manual activities in cyber.
Terry?
So our platform is about, I call it satellite imagery of your risk, compliance, maturity. And so we can literally look at your networks, your data sets, your maturity from the outside in, and give you that diagnostic within 24 to 48 hours, and you don't have to do anything. So it's a 70 to 80% view, but it gives you that baseline so that then we can help you prioritize on what you should do next with whatever your limited resources are. And then through continuous monitoring, we can show as you put those solutions in place, how are you maturing over time?
Terry, do you have to be deeply technical to implement compliance automation?
No, you don't. You need to be technically aware. You need to be up to date with what is the realm of the possible technically, but you don't need to be technically deep. And you can use a lot of just good business practices to help prioritize where you should focus your limited resources.
What are your thoughts on that, Brian?
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, even though SteelCloud is steeped in automating, you know, the low-level compliance and configurations, we really do that to give our customers the, you know, time and money that they can spend on risk management.
Excellent. Well, we appreciate the time you've taken, both of you, on this compliance automation as it relates to risk mitigation and optimization. Thank you, Brian Hajost, COO of SteelCloud, and Terry Roberts, who's CEO of Whitehawk. I'm Dave Gardy for CyberSecurity TV for another in the series of compliance automation with SteelCloud. Thanks for watching.